The neutral zone star station of Harrow's Gate was normally loud. Crowded docking bays, clattering service drones, and vendors shouting over each other in dozens of languages. But on that particular rotation, a strange hush rippled across the busy transit lounge. Travelers slowed. Conversations stalled. Some even stepped sideways or pretended to take calls just to avoid a particular bench near Gate 7. On it sat the reason for the sudden silence. The alien princess. Her name, according to the station's announcement board, was Princess Kilira of the Iridescent Dominion, though most beings only whispered her title followed by a long list of rumors. Some said her presence could warp gravity. Others claimed her gaze could expose every lie in a person's lifetime. A few insisted she traveled with a curse that dismantled the political careers of anyone foolish enough to stand too close. Princess Kilira seemed indifferent to the reactions. She sat tall, gazing out a wide observation panel at the streaks of traffic sliding along Harrow's Gate's outer shell. Her semi-translucent skin shimmered like moonlit water. A faint halo of bioluminescent threads drifted lazily around her head in the station's recycled air. She looked lonely, though she hid it well. No one dared approach her. No one, until a very tired and very human mechanic named Dorian Hale walked in balancing a duffel over one shoulder and a half-broken datapad on the other. He saw the empty row of seats. He saw the princess. And unlike everyone else, he simply thought. Finally, somewhere to sit. Dorian trudged over, dropped his bag to the floor with a soft thud, and sat beside her with a weary sigh. The entire lounge froze. Kilira slowly turned her luminous eyes toward him. "You are human," she said, her voice musical and oddly calm, as if echoing from underwater. "Last I checked." Dorian rubbed at his temples. "Hope this seat's not taken." "It is not," she said. Then, after a long, curious glance, "You do not fear me." "Should I?" "That is what everyone seems to believe." Dorian shrugged. "I've fixed plasma engines that explode if you look at them wrong. What's the worst you could do? Glare me into oblivion." Kilira blinked in surprise, and the faint glow around her dimmed, then brightened again in what might have been amusement. "I have never obliterated anyone with my eyes." "Good to know," Dorian muttered. "Then we'll get along fine." Middle. A princess with a problem. A few minutes passed in silence. The lounge gradually resumed its usual rhythm, though many beings glanced over at the unlikely pair. Kilira studied Dorian openly, her voice soft but tense. "You are either remarkably brave or dangerously uninformed." "Dangerously uninformed," he replied without hesitation. "Just got off a 36-hour repair job in vacuum. Haven't checked the news feeds in days." She tilted her head. "Then you do not know why I am here." "Not a clue." Kilira inhaled, and for the first time her regal posture faltered. "My father has been overthrown by a faction within the Dominion. I was sent here to negotiate safe refuge until the situation stabilizes. But I suspect someone followed me." Her gaze shifted toward the station's ceiling, where security drones glided along magnetic tracks. "I believe an attempt will be made on my life before my transport arrives." Dorian exhaled. "Ah, so that's why everyone's keeping their distance." "Yes. You could have led with that." His shoulders slumped. "I would have come over anyway, but still." Kilira gave him a sideways glance, something between gratitude and bewilderment. "You do not move away from dangers created by politics. I move away from paperwork. Everything else is negotiable." A faint tremor quivered through the station deck, just subtle enough that only a few felt it. Dorian felt it immediately. "That wasn't normal," he murmured. Kilira's glowing threads stiffened. They are here. On the far side of the lounge, a group of armored individuals filtered through the crowd too smoothly to be travelers. Their helmets bore the curved, obsidian sigil of the Dominion's dissident faction. Dorian muttered, "Great. I should have taken a nap instead." Clara stood. "You must leave me. They won't harm civilians." "Pretty sure they will if those civilians are sitting next to their target." He grabbed his duffel, slung it over his shoulder, and leaned close. "You know how to blend in. My kind does not blend. We glow." "Fair point." He tapped his datapad's cracked screen. "Follow me anyway." Clara hesitated only half a second before falling into step behind him. Dorian led her through a maze of maintenance corridors he knew far better than he should have. Years of patching leaky conduits had taught him every shortcut on Harrow's Gate. They ducked beneath dangling pipes, slipped across narrow catwalks, and avoided major intersections until they reached a quiet, shielded maintenance hub. Clara looked around. "This is a waste processing substation." "Yep." Dorian knelt beside a console and began rewiring it. "Ugliest spot on the station. No one ever looks here unless something's on fire." "That is reassuring. Hold on." He distorted the console's sensor signature, making it mimic 3 life forms moving away from their actual location. "That'll buy us a few minutes." Clara watched his hands move with quick, steady precision. "Why are you helping me, Dorian Hale?" He paused, thoughtful. "Because nobody should have to sit alone while waiting to be hunted down. And because you looked like you needed someone to actually treat you like a person instead of a headline." Her glowing threads softened, drifting around her like gentle mist. "You are unusual for a human." "Nah. Just tired." Ending. Choosing the unlikely path. Footsteps echoed from the far corridor. The assassins had begun systematically checking the maintenance sectors. Dorian scanned the room, thinking fast. "There's an emergency launch shaft nearby. It's meant for engineers doing exterior repairs, but it can fire a pod out faster than any docking gate." Clara nodded. "Show me." They moved swiftly. The shaft hatch hissed open, revealing a small 2-seat evacuation pod. Dorian began powering it up when Clara placed a hand on his wrist. "You cannot come with me." He froze. "I figured. I don't exactly have a diplomatic passport." "It is more than that," she said softly. "If you flee with me, you become a political enemy of the dissidents. Your home station may disown you. You will lose your job, your safety, everything familiar." Dorian looked at her. The luminous skin, the tired nobility in her posture, the quiet fear she tried to conceal. "Lady, if I stay here, I lose everything anyway. And if I leave you alone, you'll lose your life. Seems like one of these options is clearly worse." Clara's eyes widened, reflecting the blinking pod lights. "You would abandon your whole life for me?" "Not for you," Dorian corrected gently. "For the right thing." For a long heartbeat, neither spoke. Then Clara stepped into the pod and extended her hand. "Then let us face the consequences together." Dorian took her hand and climbed inside. The hatch sealed behind them with a metallic clunk. Warning lights spun as the launch sequence engaged. Outside, the assassins burst into the chamber just as the pod blasted upward through the shaft, streaking into the vacuum beyond Harrow's Gate. The stars swallowed them whole. Inside the pod, Clara's glow illuminated the small cabin. She looked at Dorian with something like awe. "No one has ever chosen to sit beside me," she murmured. Dorian leaned back, exhausted but steady. "Get used to it. You're stuck with me now." Clara smiled, truly smiled for the first time. And together, the human and the alien princess drifted into the unknown, toward a future neither had expected but both were suddenly willing to fight for.